Hi everyone, my name is Tina and today I'm going to do a little bit of tangling using the Zentangle method. I've got a few things as you can see on the screen, a few tiles I've done and just some, well, notes for me really. I'm very new to teaching the Zentangle method. I think a lot of you know me from teaching parchment craft, especially using the Groovy system by Clarity Stamp. But yeah, teaching Zentangle is new to me. So the first video I did where I created, well, when I drew this tile, I didn't put a voice over it. There's just background music and I wrote on the back various tangles I was using and things. But I thought, at some point I need to be brave and put my voice to the whole teaching process because it's definitely easier to explain things when I use words, although I do get my words quite mixed up. So we will see. We will see. Hopefully it will work out. Fingers, toes, everything crossed. So let's move some of these are previous tiles that I've done, which I'm going to move out of the way, and I'm going to move this out and this out. So yeah, if this was, like I said, the first video I did, which if you want to see how I created that one, you can go on my YouTube channel, Tina Cox Creative Coaching, and it's on there. And we are going to do something a bit different to that one today. So what I'm using is I'm going to use the Zentangle tile by Zentangle, the company Zentangle. So this is a square tile, and it is 3.5 inch by 3.5 inch. They do various different tiles, like the circle ones are called zendellas. They've got triangle ones, which are called 3Z. They have translucent tiles. They have little bijou tiles. For example, this one is a bijou tile, which is a little baby one, which is super cute. And I think that's 2 inches. So there's loads of different sizes that are available. I'm going to go with the square one today. So let's start. So now one of the first things we're going to do is we're just going to take a moment and just reflect on something we're grateful for today. I personally like to write down at the back of my tile something, I'm grateful for. So for example, well, it can be anything really. For me, always the thing that always stands out is definitely my family and friends and all their love and support. So I tend to write at the back of my tiles just something that, yeah, I'm grateful for. So take a moment, reflect on something you're particularly grateful for. It can be one thing, two things, and just relax and enjoy the process. Okay, so I'm going to turn my tile over. Now, let me just go through the 8 steps of the Zentangle method. So we start with gratitude and appreciation. The second step is corner dots, followed by border, string, tangle, shade, initial, and sign, and appreciate your work. I think sometimes we definitely forget to appreciate what we have done. So this is important, and it's important to sign your work too. Okay, so starting with, we've said our thank you. Corner dots. Let's start with corner dots. So I think one of the things, especially if you come from the parchment world, if you've been with me with the parchment world and drawing maybe something very new to you, and you may be a little bit scared, but you know what? The corner dots is a great way to actually start something on a piece of paper or a piece of card. And you can use, for the Zentangle method, any drawing, any process, doodling, anything. all you need is a piece of paper, a pen. We're going to do shading, so a pencil and something to blend with. And for me, not for me, sorry, confused in my head. I think with the Zentangle method, the first thing is the corner dots, and it's a great way to actually put something onto the paper. So I'm going to use my pencil to put corner dots, and it is as, I've dropped something, it's okay. So I'm just going to put corner dots. It does not matter where you put the corner dots. Let me just zoom. You can leave as big a border as you want or as smaller border. Sorry, as big a window as you want or as small. So I'm going to start there. I might shrink it later or I might go out later. It does not matter. There is no mistakes in this drawing process, only new opportunities really. So there we go. We've gone into the paper now, which is great. We've marked it. Next, what we want to do is put a border. So we're just going to connect. Does not need to be a straight line. We're going to connect the dots. It can be wibbly wobbly. It can be straight. It can be anything you want it to be. So we have got our border there. Next thing we want to do is put a string. So I'm going to keep today's, I think, pretty simple. We'll stick to maybe about 2 or 3 tangles. Let's see, it just depends. So what should we do? Let's break this square up into sections. And I think I am going to, let's put one there. Let's put one there. Okay, we've got 1, 2, 3 sections. This can be wide, it can be narrow, this section can be bigger, this section can be smaller. It really does not matter. Yes, so you just go with the flow. Okay, I'm going to put the pencil down and I'm going to pick up my 01, micron 01 to tangle with. If I feel it's too thin, I may swap to a bigger size nib. We'll see. Let's see. I've got so many of these pens out. I'm sort of a little bit confused as to which one is working and which one is not working. Okay, so for this one, I'm actually going to go over the string line. There we go. I think that's pretty. And I'm going to actually bring this one out as well. So there we go. And I'm going to do the same for this one. And you can see I'm going to bring it closer. I've sort of not gone exactly over the pencil line. It doesn't matter. So let's not get too worked up over that. We just go with the flow. Okay, I think what I would next want to do is put something in. Let me start with the middle section here. And what shall I put in the middle section? Okay, I am going to do something quite, okay, I'm going to put the tangle. So tangles use, I'm going to use a tangle called an Zeppel. Probably going to spell it wrong. I'm not sure if it's L-E or E-L. I'll check it later. So it's Tangle and Zeppel, and it's a really fun one. I love this tangle. So you can break up this space into as many sections as you want. Your line does not need to be straight. I am intentionally doing it unstraight. There we go. And I think when you don't have it straight, it becomes a crazy end Zeppel. If you had a grid, let me get a piece of paper. So example, let me close this. Let's do this. It's a grid tangle. Example is a grid tangle. So for example, we have this. We would break it down into squares. Oops, going off the screen there. Yes. So we've got a grid. And then what we do is we follow the line, make a little curve. So if I have a big square like this, basically we want to curve that like this, follow over the top, curve it in, bring it down, curve, around, curve, and follow that up. Yes. Now, it's very tempting to do just this, 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 this. But you will actually see a huge difference if you had, for example, the next box in the grid and you do this, because oopsie daisy, and that's okay, because what you get is you get different shapes. When you've got a thick line there and you have the contrast of thin lines between where they don't, where you're not going over it, it makes a really nice look. And you see it a lot more when you have a few sections in. So you follow that, round it off, and follow it around. So I'm going to start about halfway, follow it around, and follow it up. And you do that. So you continue doing that on all the sections. Yes. I'm doing it pretty quick. I am a very slow tangler, so when I actually come to the actual piece, I'll probably slow down quite a bit. I just want to show you this. So this is where we've gone actually over the whole, like all the way around. But for example, if I had just rounded off the corners like this, you will see a huge difference in the look. You see, this gives it's a completely different look. So with the end zapper, we do a rounding, we follow the line, round, follow the line. Okay, so let's do it on the actual thing. Oh, sorry, I forgot. I got distracted. So here, the reason I'm saying crazy end zapper is because over here the grid is pretty much straight. With the crazy end zapper, you can have it going in all sorts of directions. Yeah. So it's all wibbly wobbly. And that's what we're going to go for. We're going to go for wibbly wobbly. I think when you go wibbly wobbly, it takes the fright off. Now my pen is definitely a bit too thin. So I'm going to use a 0.5. If I can find my 0.5, that is, I will use a 0.5 or a 0.4. 0.4. So I've swapped to a 0.4. I can't find the 0.5, but it's somewhere. I'm just going to go over the line actually because it's very faint. And I'm slowing down a little bit now. I was just about to say, if I go off the screen, just shout. But I mean, if you do, I can't hear you, can I? So when I'm tangling, I like to, more often than not, draw towards me because I can see where I'm drawing my lines. Having said that, you know, there'll be times I'll be going across. It definitely a lot of the times feels wrong to my hand, but I still do it. I still do it. So there we go. Okay, that's definitely a nicer, thicker pen. And yeah, okay. So now we need to break this into sections. So again, because I am going with the crazy ensemble idea where I don't need to worry about the lines being straight, I'm just drawing randomly along. They can be big spaces, they can be small spaces, they can be massive spaces. So we've broken that up. Yeah. Okay, so now to do the rounding. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start let's start on a bigger section. So this one here. So I'm going to start halfway. I'm going to go over the line, round it off, follow around, round. So I like to turn my tile around, round, and always following over the line and back to where we meet. Yeah. So over here, so this goes off the tile. So we've only got these two sections because we pretend the line was out there somewhere. So we're not going to need to do the ends. So over the line, around, and follow that round. Don't be tempted to skip the following over the previous line and round it off. So I'm going to start about there, onto there, around, and it's going off the tile, so I'm not going to do the ends, but still remembering to follow the line, over the line. So round, I'm repeating myself, aren't I? I'm probably going to get annoying. So I don't know how many of you like tangling, have done tangling. For me, it's like therapy. Honestly, for me, it's therapy. I just love the process. I think it is a combination of just knowing there's absolutely no mistakes, and it's the repetition. There's something very satisfying about the repetition of yeah, just the drawing process. And I think it's also the fact that I'm not aiming to draw anything in particular, just lots of patterns that, you know, various Tangle artists have deconstructed for us, which is great, which makes it so easy to learn various tangles, lots of tangles, because they've all been made using various step-by-steps for everyone to follow. It takes the pressure off for me, and anyway, it does take the pressure off. So I just love it. And there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of tangles out there. Have a look on for example, the Zentangle website. And if you go on their blogs, for example, there is lots of info there, you know, news to read. But Zentangle have a mosaic, an app called Mosaic. And oh my gosh, it's a treasure trove in there. The inspiration on there is absolutely amazing. So it's definitely worth having a look on that. And then there's lots of Zentangle tutors who run regular workshops, who do monthly clubs that you can look up, sign up for, and well, enjoy. And it's really nice being part of the community. There's always so much to learn from one another. and just be with happy people. So there we go. Like I said, I'm quite a slow tangler, and that's okay. I never want, whenever I start something, I just don't want to finish it. I just want to keep going, to be honest. And I tangle very small as well a lot of the time. So for me, doing this, for example, today, for me, this is massive. It's not my norm. My norm is usually very tiny. But I think if I made this tiny, for example, we will be here till tomorrow. If you're tangling along, I hope it's going well for you and you're enjoying this. Turning your tile every now and then, you know, especially for larger areas, I find I tend to turn my tile a lot more. There are times I forget as well, and my hand feels a bit wobbly as I'm drawing. But you know what? That's okay. I think it just adds character to my lines. So there we go. So if we have a look here now, you see where we've gone over the lines, over the outlines around the rounding. It's thicker than what we had as our original lines. And I think that's the really nice, pretty thing about the Zentangle is the different widths of the lines, even though we're using the same pen right throughout. Okay, so next, what shall I do? Let's see. This is a very open tangle. So now I feel I want something with a bit more ink, a drama tangle, for example. I just feel it needs a bit more ink. Just, I don't know. To me, it feels like that's what I want to put in there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put, I think, another grid tangle, but I'm not sure what. Okay, so seeing as I'm going to put a grid tangle, I'm going to actually put a grid. And again, your lines don't need to be straight. They can be wibbly wobbly. Let's break this. So I'm going to, shall I go straight or shall I go wibbly wobbly? Okay, now you know what? I'm going to go at different angles. Let's take the pressure off of getting them straight. So I'm going to break them roughly into squarishes, but they're not going to be obviously be squares because we've got, you know, all sorts of different angles happening. So something like this. Yes. So now I've broken this up. I think I want to break it up a bit more. So I'm going to actually go back and break these into triangles. The squares. So from one corner to the other, again, they do not need to be straight. They can be wibbly wobbly if you want. Remember, we're taking the pressure off us. Well, I am anyway. This is quite nerve-wracking for me. Okay. So I've broken that up and I'm going to do what we call a fragment. So fragment is, it's a little section of do you know what? I can't explain it. I will read it up for next time and explain it a bit better. But basically, you're taking a small section that, so for example, we have a shape, we break it up. Yeah, we break it up. And then this bit becomes the section we're going to concentrate on. So it's a fragment of the whole thing. And you can put a different design in there. Not design, a different tangle in there. You can, embellish it. And that's what we're going to do. So we're going to treat each triangle as a fragment. And what we're going to do is we're going to do little shallow seal. That's a mouthful. So we have a triangle like this. And we're going to do a shallow C from one end to the other. The same on the other side. And the same on the third side. Yeah. So each triangle, that's what we're going to do. So on here, the triangle, as you can see, the line is going off there. So if we pretend that our square was ending, say, approximately up here, don't know, should I zoom in? Will that be better? Zoom in a bit for this. Okay. So if I pretend, for example, it was there, my curve would start from there. We would continue there. I'm going to put my pen down and I'm going to follow that around there. So again, if my triangle was ending there, I would follow it around. So I'm drawing in the air up to that point and then doing that. And then this one is point to point. So on a full section here, we're doing a curve there, and curve there. We're going to repeat that on all the triangle bits in each section. And you can see some of mine are wider than others. And I'm not too worried about that. As much as, I say to myself, I'm going to try and be super slow, well, I am slow, but I'm going to try and be very accurate. But for me, this is me time. This is my stress-free time. So if I get too worked up about this line is not the same as the previous, this curve is not the same as the previous, it takes away the enjoyment of the process for me. As long as I've got the curves happening, shadow, white, it really doesn't matter. And you will actually see when we add the shading, for example, for me, shading is what adds extra magic to the work. So don't get too worked up over this, just enjoy it. Again, it's the repetition. So there'll be some sections that have bigger spaces, some sections that have teeny tiny spaces. Just work one triangle at a time. That's all you're focusing on, is one triangle at a time. You're not going to worry about the bigger picture. So again, as we come here, you know, our squares, well, our triangles would be ending some here. So I'm not going point to point there. I'm letting it go off. Oopsie daisy. I'm making it go off the, where the line is there, because I'm pretending maybe my triangle is about there. So, and it doesn't really matter how far you take it off the line. So there we go. That's all our sections. I think I've missed this one here. Okay. I keep going off, don't I? So we've got this shape here. So now what we want to do is, well, what I want to do is I want to put something in these little triangle space that will add drama to our work. So we have got options. So for example, we have got the triangle here. Let's do another one to give you options of what you might want. So we've got this as one triangle. So you can put a full orb in there, yes, and color that in. Now, if you're worried about doing full orbs and you're going to get worked up over, oh, it doesn't look like a circle, then let it go. Then let's do this. Round it off, round it off, round it off. Yes, so it's not a full circle. It looks like a circle that's squashed in between those, the little curves there, and color in those little bits. So it is up to you which one you prefer, whether you prefer this circle here or this squishy circle, or the circle that's squished in. I'm going to go with the circle that's squished in. So let's pick a large area, this one here, to show you. So I'm going to put a little curve rounding, and a little curve. And then I'm going to color in those little bits up in the corners. So now it looks like the circle has been squished in there. Yeah, I think I want to make it a little bit roundier. So I'm just going to do that. So this is just giving it a little bit of love. So there we go, and a bit there, and a bit there. Yeah. And it's quite different to, you know, when we look at this, for example, that's definitely a circle in there. And this gives it a slightly different look to it. So it just depends which one you prefer. Yeah. Okay, so rounding it there, color into the corner. Rounding in there, color into the corner. In there and into the corner. So you're going to do those in all the sections. And if you're worried, then start off with tiny sections, because you can always go back in and make them sort of smaller. So for example, you know, if I wanted to make my orb in there smaller, I would just add a bit more ink. If if you're going to try, or if you're tangling along with me and something. Let me think my words through. No, they're gone. They're gone. I would love to see your work. So if you're tangling along with me, I would absolutely love to see what you have drawn. You can tag me on either Facebook or Instagram. And I would, like I said, when I first started, I would love feedback on how I can improve. Eventually, I would love to do workshops. At the moment, though, I just want to enjoy it. I want to get practice teaching it. But eventually, there's no hurry. Well, for me, there isn't anyway. I just want to enjoy this and be able to share it with everyone. I want to do Facebook Lives. There's so many things I want to do. If only there was more time. I'm just going to do that. I definitely need more time in my life. Don't we all, though? I think we all want more time. Oh, I don't know. Do we all? Do we all? Do you want more time, more hours in your day? I say that, but then the chances are I'll say, oh my gosh, it's been a very long day today. I just know me. Literally, that is what I would say. So this, I don't need to do the ends here because, you know, again, we are assuming the triangle disappears under there somewhere. So the corner would be somewhere under there. So let's not worry about that. So there we go. So now we've got drama here. We've got the open section of the ends apple. And we've got this tangle, and can I remember what it's called? It's the fragment is C12 or B12 or it's C12. I use it so often, and thankfully I have a tile here where I've used it before. This is this fragment is C12, the bit in the triangle. Okay. Okay, so this side, what do we do now? About, I think I want it sandwiched. I want this sandwiched. So I'm going to do dividends. So the fragment was C12. How about the next tangle? Dividends. I love dividends. Okay. So dividends. Here's our outline. And what we're going to do is we're going to draw, how do I explain? I don't know the word for it. I probably should look up things, you know, before just jumping head on with things. What do you call it? It will come to me. A molehill? That's not the best way of explaining something, is it? Basically, you're drawing a hill. No, I'm sure there's a better way of explaining that. Sorry. So you're going to draw a different shape, hills. You're going to leave some space. And you're going to draw. And you're going to color them in. So what I like to do is different ways. So say here's our line, right? I start on the line. I lift up, down, and curve it back into the line and color this. You can, it will look completely different. Just do these sort of hills if you so wish. They can be different shapes. So this one is quite flat. You can, I personally like it starting on the line, gently lifting off and gently back down. So you can make them tall. Up to you. Yeah. The other thing, no, let's do one thing at a time. Okay, so like I said, up, let's do a little bit baby mini one there. Whoopsie daisy. And maybe one more. No, let's have a tall one there next to it. It really doesn't matter. You put them where you want, put them as high as you want, as low as you want, as curvy as you want. It really does not matter. It's going to look amazing no matter what you do, how many you put. Okay. So that's the start of our diva dance. Yeah. So what we're going to do next is we are going to aura this. So aura basically means is we're going to leave a little bit of space between the outline of this. So if this was nicely colored in, you're going to leave a bit of space and you're going to follow this outline and take your time. And this is what we call auraing. Yeah. How much space you leave is absolutely up to you. You can leave a wider space. You can leave narrower. It's just whatever you're more comfortable with. Now, the other thing, if you know, you got a wobbly hand, that is fine too, because you can actually just wobble your lines. Just roughly follow it. And I'm going with the theme of nothing straight, to be honest. And you see, let me bring it closer. It's got quite a wobble. And I'm okay with that. So I have stopped at where my pencil line was, because I think it would be quite nice to have that square behind this, this arch here. So we've done one. We're going to go back, and in between, we're going to put some more of these. So let's put one here. Let's put a shallow one here. And color it in. So you can color it in as you go along, or you can come back and color it in later. And oopsie daisy, take your time. Okay, so we've put those. Again, you're going to aura that. And it is a repetition of drawing those hills and auraing. We're going to change it a little bit, and we're going to put a different tangle, and we used it in, if you saw the video I did sorry, last week, we used a tangle called printemps. I don't know if I'm saying it properly, but it's a swirl. So I'm going to put that there. It's basically, yeah, a swirl. And what I'm going to do with this swirl is I'm going to make it thicker on one side. You don't need to. I just feel like it, I quite like it thick on one side. You don't need to. There we go. And on either side, I'm going to put an orb. And color that space in. I'm going to put an orb and color that space in. And I'm going to just do a little bit of rounding, sort of nest it in. There we go. So by that, what I mean is let's do a bigger one somewhere. Okay, so say I put an orb. I mean, this is massive, but just to show you. That is sitting on top of that. But if I want to nest it onto the line, I don't know if I'm using the right word, nest it, but ground it in. I'm going to put a little curve, tiny curve like that, and then color that in. And now it is sitting nestled, is that the word? On the line. And also I'm going to put a little curve here and a little curve here. And there we go. So over here, let's put a section there. And how many you put is absolutely up to you. You just go with the flow. Maybe one here. Okay, and then we aura. Now we're going to aura around the orb. We're going to aura around the print top and around. And you can see I'm very wibbly wobbly. I quite like that. That looks pretty. And you just repeat. So you can put as many print tops, you can put as many orbs, you can do just the hills if you want. No, let's do that and aura all of that. Yep. So another thing you can do is we can make a larger section like this, or it can be a thinner section. It really doesn't matter. And what we're going to do in there is we're going to fill it with orbs. Just to give it a little bit of something else happening. It doesn't need to have something else happening, but I want to put something else, so you can leave it out if you wish, and you've got a different thing happening here. I think I'm going to put another. Should I put another? Yeah, let's put another print top here. So it's going underneath, around, and I'm going to stop that. Yeah, and I'm just going to add a bit of, because I've put the thicker outline on that side, I'm going to try and keep my thicker outline on the same side. I think the key word there was I'm going to try. But if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. Doesn't matter. There we go. And put another one. That's a much bigger one. And that's okay. So thicker on one side. I'm just going to ground, sort of nestle them in. So I'm just doing the little curve and coloring that. And there is a little bit. Let's put a hill there. Yellow one there. You just aura around the whole bit up to the line. So let's put one here. And yours will look completely different because depending on where you've put your crescents, your ups and downs, it will make it look completely different. How big they are, how small they are, all that really changes it. I think this is one tangle I don't get bored with any tangle, but this one, each time I do it, I just absolutely love it because it is never, ever, ever going to look the same. And take your time when you're filling in these sections, take your time, filling them in, enjoy it, the inking in. If you see a space where it isn't filled in fully, go back, fill it in. And then on. And you can see I can go slower, but I am not. I should, but I'm not. I'm just going to go back and just add a few more and just continue with this. Depending on how much space you have on yours, you can add more print umber if you want. You can add more orbs if you want. I'm not put any hills on that one. I'm just going to do maybe one on this one. There we go. So that is what we have. So that was our tangling bit, which was, let me just unzoom a little bit, just so we can see the whole tile. There we go. So that was our tangling bit. Yeah. Now we're going to add some shading to this. So for the shading, I'm going to use my pencil, and this is a Zentangle pencil. If you can use regular HB pencil, and you're going to need a blending tortilla as well. So a blending stump. So if you come from the groovy world, then you will have a blending pen and nib, which will work just as well. So it's up to you. So, you have that on hand if you already do parchment craft. Okay, so shading. What I'm going to do first is, actually I'm going to do this bit first, and then I'll come back and do these two sections. So for this here, for the Crazy Ends apple, to shade, let me show you on a big area. Okay, let's do this big area here. With the pencil, I'm going to just draw around, leaving, and well, I'm drawing an aura basically, like that. Yeah. So you're going to do that on all of them. On two sides, you're going to draw an aura. So on here, I will go this way and this way. Again, depending on how big your spaces are, Your and how your curves went, your enzepo is going to look completely different to mine. I am not pressing too hard with my pencil because I don't want to be left with the harsh lines that may be difficult to blend. I am just very gently drawing an aura line. Now, generally speaking, when I'm doing pencil work, I start this end and work that way, simply because I've started here. I'm going to be rubbing that quite a bit with my wrist. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back. I'm going to cover that. So I'm not rubbing my wrist all over that, over the pencil lines there. But I just wanted to show you on the larger areas. So this is going off. So it's just a little bit there. So again, just on two sides. Which two sides you pick is absolutely up to you, but just be consistent with the same two sides on all the sections. So you can see, I'm just going on there. And do leave that little bit of space between the black outlines and the pencil. So there we go, that's what we have. Yeah, let me lift that. Yeah, that's what we have. Now to blend this, I'm still going to use my paper here too. So to blend this, what we're going to do is we're going to go on the, I'm going to grab a different tortilla. Hold on, a sharper one. Yeah, I have one here though. I'll have to see. See if I have a sharper one. The other one I've used so much is gone blunt. Okay. So it's got a bit of glue on it. It's okay. Okay, so I'm going to go on the line and I'm going to smudge, rub on that, and I'm going to pull that into the center. I'm doing it very gently. I'm not putting much pressure. If I press too hard, what's going to happen is it's going to take bits off the paper. So for me, I find it very hard to hold it this way, and blending it, it's just something I'm not used to. So, you know, it's something I would recommend you play with and see which is the most comfortable position for you. Can you see we've got the pencil line there? It is fine. Don't worry about it. Our string where we drew the border. In the I don't generally tend to erase out the pencil, the border lines. If you wish, you can do so. For me, it's all part of the for my tangling journey on this tile. So I tend to leave it there, to be honest. So just very gently, I was just adding a bit more. And you may find you may want to add a bit more pencil to make it a bit more. I don't know if you can see. I don't know if I can see. Okay, let's try again. So what I'm doing is I'm going on there and just bringing it in. So we've got this. Now it looks very light to me. And let me just show you on one. I can go back, add a bit more pencil. So it's a little bit thicker. And then blend it, and I'll get a bit more. But it's better, you know, if you haven't done this before, to start gently And can you see you've got more shading on this? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go back and add a bit more on these because I was being very, very, very careful. Normally, like I said, I tangle quite small. So that amount is more than enough for my tiny tangling. So I'm not quite used to this size tangling. And so I need a bit more pencil. So I'm just thickening up my lines, and you can see I'm just, well, I should probably be, again, you don't want the pencil to be at a point. Have it a bit lower. It looks like I'm holding it straight, but I'm not. It's quite low down against the paper because I don't want any harsh lines. I'm just going to go back and make these thicker and then come back and blend. So depending on how big your sections are, you may need more pencil down, more graphite down, or it might be fine with just one stroke pencil line that like I had previously. And again, they don't need to be absolutely the same in each and every different section. Some can be wider, narrower. Okay, I'm going to go back and just blend that out since I added more. I'm just gently rubbing. So here, I'm going to go on it first, and then I'm going to blend it out into the open space. Just very gently. And then you can see where it's darker then fading into the white of the card itself. Now the Zentangle tiles have a little bit of texture to them. They're not like super smooth card. And you can tangle on super smooth card as well if that's your preference. I love working on textured card. So sometimes when I'm creating my own die cutout shapes, because you can use your dies to cut out various shapes, and tangle on. So when I'm using my dies, I tend to use textured card. I love a watercolor card for when I'm going to add a bit of watercolor background on the cardstocks. I'll just die cut something out of watercolor card and tangle on that. Again, those of you who follow my parchment journey, and I do the Facebook lives, we usually do a tag. I love tags, and so when I tangle on a tag, once I've die cut it, for example, I'll die cut it from watercolor card. Not always, it just depends on whether I want to add water or not. But I do have a whole bunch of textured cardstock, which is my preference for tangling on. Have a go, if you're new to this, have a go and see whether you prefer smooth card, textured card. I think as crafters, most of us have a lot of cardstock. Have a play and see which one is your preference and just go with that. You can see how this is adding dimension to our little sections in there, they now look a bit like pebbles. Okay, so that's what we have. Now, let's do this one here. So this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a bit of graphite in these, just wherever they meet in the center, outside the center points where the petals are on the, yeah. So on all of them, just a bit, because this will spread quite a bit when we blend it. On all the 6, is it 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah, 6. So just very quickly, I'm adding just a little bit. I can always add more if I need to. So for the moment, I'm just doing a little bit. I did start on the edge here, but I will show you what we'll do with that in a minute. So I'm going to leave that for the moment. Okay, so all the full ones where we have that. So again, we're going to bring it out. So I'm going in there, I'm rubbing it and bringing it a little bit out. So I'm blending that and bringing it out. So it's fading into nothingness. You can see the difference where we have put, we've blended that and not yet blended that. And one of the main things to remember is that, you know, when we're doing blending, do allow your pen to dry. So micron dries pretty much very quickly. But for example, where we've done a lot of inking in, it may stay wet for a little bit longer. So do be aware and let it dry completely before you blend, because otherwise your paper is really fragile and you just feel bits coming off it if you blend over the wet inked areas. I forgot to say, if you have got a... Oh, that's my stomach. Can anyone else hear it? That's a bit embarrassing if you can. And if you can't, it's still a bit embarrassing because I've just told everyone what my stomach is doing. So we've got the little orbs here. What I'm going to do with the orbs is exactly what we did here. And so I'm just going to, well, that one is going underneath, so I don't need to worry too much about that. But I'm just going to do what we did in the Crazy and Zappo and just put a bit. Now these are tiny. Some of them literally will just need a dot and a dot. Because when we blend that, look, I missed one. So for example, that one, a dot is enough. Even a dot, you know, when you blend it, it moves very far. Yeah, it's a bit like that. Now we're gonna take this and blend. So we've got shading in our those squished up orbs. Yeah. I'm going to turn it around and I'm going to do this bit here. So the first thing I want to do is where I have got the orbs, for example, I'm going to do just little domes, leaving a bit of space. I mean, these are just too tiny, but just a dot, just an impression that there's a bit of shading there. Just quick rub and that's it really. So we've got a little shading on there. Now where we've got the print tomb and the orbs, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here around on the outside with the pencil. Just like that. The same on this one here where I've got the printer. Oopsie, I went on the printer, but that's okay. Outside there, following it around. Now this printer is going underneath this one. Can you see it's going behind, just over there, behind this one? Because if we followed this, it would be under there somewhere. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a bit of pencil on this bit as well. So when we blend that, it is going to look like it goes underneath. So if I come back here, you see now that goes behind there. Now the other thing is that the print term are going underneath this wave. So I'm going to put a bit of, just bit of pencil where it is going underneath. We've already got shading on that one. So just a little bit there. So now we've got some shading on the print arm. Can you see compared to this one's got some shading now? So again, because this one is sitting on top of the aura there, it needs a bit of pencil there, and we blend that out. Yeah. And then where we went outside, I'm just going to blend that. And you can come into the other auras. Just so it blends nicely. So I'm just blending it. Yeah. Okay. One last thing I'm going to do to this is I'm going to just put shading on this here. So where we've got very dark areas, so for example here, it's very easy for us to be tempted to put shading because I want this bit to go behind here. So I want dark along here. It's very tempting to put pencil graphite all the way along, but what it does is where you've got the inked in area, the graphite actually makes the inked in areas go silvery, sort of burnished look, and it gives it a shine. You do get matte pencils you can use, and that wouldn't be a problem in that case, but because I'm using the graphite pencil, I'm making sure I'm not going on the inked areas, I'm going around because I don't want it to have a shine. And I'm going to blend that. So very gently, again, there's a lot of inked areas. If I go over the inked areas with the blending, it's not too bad. It's just the graphite of the pencil that makes it go quite shiny, a silvery sort of gray look it gives it. So there we go. And you can instantly see now how this looks like it's going underneath there. And I'm going to do the same on this. So this side doesn't have as much black tin area. So I was not as careful. And there we go. Like I said, because I want to have a square there, I'm just going to put a bit along there where our original borderline was. And I should have not gone on the inked area, but I did. And that's okay, no mistakes, remember? It's something that, I try and remember, but sometimes I forget, and that's okay. That's life. It's what makes us human. I can see. So now we've got definite square here compared to here, where we do have a square because we had the scallops here, whereas this was ending as just line. But now that looks like it's in a square, but I'm going to do the same along here. I'm just going to encase the whole thing. You don't have to. There we go. Okay, so now at this point we look at it and we see if there's anything else we want to add. Now, if there is definitely things that you think, oh, it needs touching up, then go back, add your little bit of extra love to your tile. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually just go over this line again as my frame. I'm not going to go over everything. I mean, just adding that little bit of extra. And it makes such a difference, to add these little final finishing extra line art over what we had. It just makes it pop, because sometimes, even though we don't want the pencil to get on top of some of our line art, it does. And this just sharpens it up for me. So here where I went with the pencil, even though I didn't want to, I can see it shine, especially with the light on. So I'm just going to touch up, add a bit of love to my tile. And I'll have a look at it and see. So maybe I want to just make my orbs pop a bit. And it's just the little things that make such a difference. Just on the main elements. So there we go. And definitely have a look at all your inked areas and see there's no white dot specks that need just touching up. Where if it's not inked properly, you will see the white from the card coming through. So you just go back in and just, sometimes it's as little as adding just a dot here and there. And I think that is it. So that is our shading. So next step is putting an initial and a sign, and basically signing your work, own your work, be proud of your work. And I know for the longest time, I never signed anything. I was just too embarrassed, or I always felt it just wasn't good enough, or, I just didn't. I think, yeah, just wasn't good enough, or I was embarrassed. And so that's my initials and my sign. So there we go. And at the back, you're going to, I did forget to mention, you may want to move your tile around. Let me zoom out. You may want to move your tile around and see which is the best orientation you like it at. So, if I liked it this way, I would have signed it there as opposed to signing it there. I've signed it here because I quite liked it, this being narrowed this side and going wider. That's personal preference. So, always turn your work around. And when you turn it around, you see it differently in different angles. And on the back, you're going to sign, put your name down, and today's date. And thank you. So there we go. There's the tile. So make sure your pens and things are closed. You can now look at it. You can appreciate your work. And I hope you do like what you have tangled and you enjoyed the session. Hopefully it came across okay. I don't know, but I actually really like this. And how we were talking earlier, well, when I was saying, when I use die cut and tags and things, I love doing tags. I've got this idea that's buzzing in my head now that I want to do the same design on a tag. And I think that will be my evening this evening because I really want to play with this idea now. So once you've done one, to be honest, it's something, if you enjoy it, then do another one, put things in different sections. You can create the same sort of string that we did, where we broke it. We did our border, we broke it up into 3 sections, so I could put the ensample maybe there, maybe diva dance there, and the fragment C12 there. You can play with it and, it's going to look completely different. So have a go. And I look forward to seeing what you create. Definitely, please, 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 if you do create something, tag me because I would absolutely love to see it. And also, if there's anything I can improve or anything you might want to see more of, do let me know and I will see what I can do. Thank you so much for joining me. And I look forward to the next one. Take care. Bye.